Stop apologizing for wanting to be rich. Stop listening to the modern minimalists who tell you that owning nothing makes you morally superior. Stop buying into the broke philosopher aesthetic, and for the love of everything, stop letting the internet convince you that financial ambition is a sin. I am going to tell you the brutal, unfiltered truth about money, power, and ancient philosophy. It is going to completely shatter the delicate, self-righteous illusions of the modern wellness industry. It might offend you. But it is the exact psychological truth you need to hear to finally break out of your financial anxiety and claim what is yours. The modern spiritual gurus, the lifestyle coaches, and the self-proclaimed Stoics of the internet have sold you a massive, debilitating lie. They have convinced you that to be wise, you must be poor. They tell you that money is the root of all evil. They tell you that true peace requires you to abandon the material world, live in a van, and detach yourself from the desire to build wealth. They tell you that if you want a massive bank account, you are unevolved. You are superficial. You are a slave to capitalism. It is a complete scam. It is a psychological trap designed by weak people to make their lack of ambition look like a moral victory. It is a coping mechanism for people who do not have the discipline to conquer the material world, so they pretend they don't want it. You know exactly the internal conflict I am talking about. You feel it every single time you look at your bank account. You have a deep, primal drive to succeed. You want the freedom. You want the security. You want to provide for your bloodline, buy back your time, and build an empire. But every time you start to push for it, the guilt creeps in. You hear the voices of society telling you that wanting more is greedy. You feel ashamed for wanting the luxury car, the massive house, the absolute financial sovereignty. So you play small. You negotiate against your own ambition. You tell yourself, I just want enough to be comfortable. I don't need to be rich, I just want to be happy. And what happens? You trap yourself in the worst of both worlds. You don't get the wealth, but you also don't get the peace. You are exhausted. You wake up at 3 a.m. with a tight chest, running the math on your bills. You sit in traffic for 2 hours a day, driving to a job you tolerate, taking orders from a boss you don't respect, all because you need the paycheck to survive. You are terrified of inflation. You are terrified of an unexpected medical bill. You are terrified of the economy collapsing. You don't have peace. You have a low-grade, chronic panic attack that never ends. You are acting like a monk, but you are living like a hostage. And what do you do to fix it? You turn to the modern playbook. You try to manifest abundance by writing empty affirmations on a sticky note. You try to convince yourself that money doesn't matter, while simultaneously stressing over every single dollar you spend. Or, you swing to the opposite toxic extreme. You listen to the hustle culture podcast bros. You decide to grind until your eyes bleed. You sacrifice your sleep, your relationships, and your physical health to chase a number on a screen. You tie your entire sense of self-worth to your net worth. And if you fail, you hate yourself. And if you succeed, you are absolutely terrified of losing it all. Neither of these paths leads to power. Both of these paths lead to slavery. The spiritual guru is a slave to his rejection of money. The hustle bro is a slave to his obsession with money. Both of them have handed the remote control to their nervous system over to pieces of paper with numbers on them. If you are finally sick and tired of feeling guilty for wanting wealth, and simultaneously terrified of never having enough. If you are ready to drop the fake modesty, shatter your financial anxiety, and build an identity made of absolute gravity, then hit subscribe right now. We are about to completely tear down your modern conditioning and install an ancient, unbreakable psychological operating system for unapologetic wealth. Let's look at the men who actually understood how to dominate reality. The men who didn't need to fake poverty to prove their wisdom. The Stoics. The modern internet has completely bastardized what Stoicism actually is. They picture a guy living in a wooden barrel, wearing rags, eating dirt, and pretending he likes it. That was Diogenes. He was a cynic. He was not a Stoic. Let me introduce you to the reality of Stoic power. Think about Seneca the Younger. One of the greatest, most brilliant Stoic philosophers in human history. He wrote the letters that define the philosophy. He mapped out the human mind. He understood the absolute necessity of internal peace. Do you know what else Seneca was? He was one of the wealthiest human beings on the face of the planet. He was the advisor to the Emperor of Rome. He possessed a net worth that would make modern billionaires blush. He owned vast estates. He had endless servants. He wore the finest clothes, ate the finest food, and wielded immense global power. He lent out massive sums of money to entire provinces. Seneca was outrageously, undeniably, unapologetically rich. And he didn't hide it. He didn't apologize for it. He didn't write self-deprecating posts on the Roman equivalent of LinkedIn about how his wealth was actually a burden. He enjoyed it. He used it. He multiplied it. How does that compute with the modern lie you've been sold? How can the godfather of Stoicism, the man who wrote the manual on detaching from the material world, be sitting on a mountain of gold? Because Seneca understood a foundational truth that your modern financial advisor and your modern life coach are completely blind to. Wealth is not an identity. Wealth is a preferred indifferent. This is the most powerful mental model in ancient philosophy, and it is going to completely rewrite your relationship with money. The Stoics divided the world into three categories. Things that are good. Things that are bad. And things that are indifferent. The only things that are good are your virtues. Your courage. Your discipline. Your wisdom. Your justice. The only things that are bad are your vices. Your cowardice. Your lack of control. Your ignorance. Everything else, literally everything else in the universe, is indifferent. Your health. Your reputation. Your job. And yes, your bank account. They are indifferent because they cannot fundamentally make you a good or bad person. They cannot fundamentally grant you peace or cause you suffering. Money cannot buy you a regulated nervous system. Poverty cannot force you to be miserable. They are simply external materials. They are the weather. But here is where Seneca took it a step further. Here is the secret. Within the category of indifferent things, there are preferred indifference and dispreferred indifference. It is indifferent to your soul whether you are sick or healthy. But being healthy is highly preferred. It is indifferent to your character whether you are respected or hated. But being respected is highly preferred. And it is absolutely, 100% indifferent to your internal sovereignty whether you are a billionaire or a beggar. But having $1 billion is highly, highly preferred. Seneca wrote, "The wise man does not love wealth, but he would rather have it. He does not admit it into his heart, but into his house." Listen to that again. He does not admit it into his heart, but into his house. This is the paradigm shift. This is the precise psychological alignment that allows you to conquer the financial world without it conquering you. The modern hustle culture bro admits wealth into his heart. He makes his money his identity. He thinks he is a better man because he drives a better car. He attaches his ego to the outcome. And because it is in his heart, the moment the market crashes, the moment he loses a deal, the moment his crypto portfolio tanks, his heart shatters. He is a fragile, vibrating mess of anxiety, because his soul is entirely dependent on the fluctuating, uncontrollable nature of the economy. The modern minimalist also admits wealth into his heart, just in reverse. He makes his lack of money his identity. He thinks he is a better man because he owns fewer shoes. He is just as enslaved by the concept of money as the greedy man, he just expresses his slavery through avoidance. Seneca the Stoic looks at both of these men and laughs. He builds the massive business. He acquires the estates. He stacks the gold. But he keeps an absolute, impenetrable firewall between his vault and his soul. He says, I will play the game of wealth because it is a preferred state. I will use it to buy freedom. I will use it to build security. I will use it to multiply my impact. But if the emperor burns my house down tomorrow, if the market collapses, if the gold is stolen, I will not shed a single tear. Because the gold was never who he was. You are exhausting yourself trying to bend the laws of physics. You are trying to acquire wealth while simultaneously feeling guilty about it. You are driving with the emergency brake pulled all the way up. The problem is not that you lack the ability to make money. The problem is that you are applying your discipline to the wrong metric. You are highly disciplined at worrying about what people will think if you get rich. You are incredibly consistent at limiting your own beliefs. You are a master at stressing over the potential loss of what you don't even have yet. You need to redirect that exact same mental energy toward mastering your alignment. Let's break down the actual psychology of what happens when you adopt the Stoic framework for wealth. When you walk into a negotiation, or a sales pitch, or an interview with the desperate, burning need to get the money, you reek of weakness. You talk too fast. You concede your boundaries. You agree to terms you hate because you are terrified they will walk away. You radiate the frantic frequency of a subordinate waiting for a reward. And the person across the table instinctively loses respect for you. Money runs away from desperation. It is a biological law. The Stoic walks into the exact same room, looking to secure the exact same bag of money. But he operates from the framework of the preferred indifferent. He has prepared flawlessly. He knows his value. He knows exactly how to execute. But he has already emotionally detached from the yes. He thinks, I prefer to close this deal. It will be profitable. But if they say no, it means absolutely nothing about my worth. It is not my concern. Because he doesn't need the deal to survive emotionally, he is terrifyingly calm. He speaks slowly. He holds eye contact. He states his terms without a shred of apology. He is not afraid of the silence. And because he is genuinely willing to walk away without a scratch on his ego, he holds all the leverage. He becomes magnetic. The client suddenly wants to work with him, the boss suddenly wants to promote him, the market suddenly wants to reward him. Because human beings are biologically wired to hand power and resources to sovereign strength, and repulsed by anxious neediness. He gets the outcome precisely because he stopped worshipping it. You have to understand that wealth is a magnifying glass. It does not change who you are. It amplifies what you already are. If you are a fearful, anxious, insecure person, $1 million will just make you a fearful, anxious person with a lot to lose. You will spend all your newly acquired money building higher walls, buying security systems, and staying awake at night terrified that someone is going to take it from you. If you are an angry, bitter person, money will just give you the resources to project that anger on a global scale. But if you are a sovereign, aligned, stoic individual, if your peace of mind is generated entirely from within, then money becomes the ultimate tool of your will. You can use it to build. You can use it to protect. You can use it to dominate the physical world. But to get there, you must completely destroy the fear of poverty. This is the secret weapon of Seneca. This is how the richest man in Rome slept like a baby. He practiced premeditatio malorum. The premeditation of evils. He didn't just tell himself not to care. He proved it to his own nervous system. He knew that the fear of losing your wealth is far worse than actually losing it. So, while living in a palace, Seneca would periodically take himself out of comfort. He would wear the cheapest clothes. He would eat the hardest, most tasteless bread. He would sleep on the literal dirt floor of a tiny room. He would live exactly like the poorest beggar in the empire for days at a time. And as he lay there on the cold ground, he would ask himself, is this the condition that I so feared? He stared directly into the abyss of his worst-case scenario. He forced his biology to experience the very thing that modern men spend 100-hour work weeks trying to run away from. And he realized a profound, unbreakable truth. He didn't die. He wasn't destroyed. He realized that even with zero gold, zero status, and zero comfort, his mind was still his own. He still had his reasoning. He still had his character. He still had his inner peace. The poverty could not touch his soul. Once you realize that the absolute worst-case financial scenario cannot actually hurt your character, the fear evaporates. The leash around your neck snaps. When you are no longer terrified of being poor, you become infinitely more dangerous at getting rich. You can take the massive risk. You can walk away from the toxic boss. You can launch the business, demand the higher price, and swing for the fences, because you know that even if you miss and fall all the way to the bottom is just dirt. And you aren't afraid of the dirt. You have been running from the dirt your whole life. You buy the nicer car to prove you aren't in the dirt. You buy the expensive watch to signal that you are far away from the dirt. Your entire financial life is a reaction to fear. You must stop operating through fear, and start operating through Stoic alignment. I want you to look at your financial anxiety right now. What are you actually afraid of? Are you afraid of not being able to buy food? Or are you afraid of what your family will think if you have to downsize your house? Are you afraid of actual starvation? Or are you afraid of the embarrassment of driving an older car? 99% of your financial panic is ego. It is the fear of a bruised identity. You think you are the numbers in your bank account. You must violently sever the emotional cord between your self-worth and your net worth. The world will never give you permission to be rich and peaceful at the same time. Society wants you to be broke and compliant. Or it wants you to be rich and miserable so it can sell you things to numb the pain. Reality does not owe you a seamless victory, and the market certainly does not care about your carefully laid plans. You are entirely, completely responsible for the state of your own consciousness. Stop complaining about how burnt out you are, when you are actively inviting the exhaustion into your life by tying your soul to the outcome. Your burnout, your midday crashes, your chronic sense of financial dread, they are not signs that you need to work harder. They are an alarm system. They are your biology screaming at you that you are living out of alignment. That you are shrinking your incredible human potential by attaching it to the chaotic, unpredictable movements of the global economy. Listen to the alarm. Stop trying to hack the market with sheer brute force and toxic hustle. Shatter the illusion that success requires you to destroy your peace of mind. Plant your feet firmly on the ground of your own character. Accept that wealth is a preferred indifferent. Invite the gold into your house. But banish it from your heart. Lock the doors of your internal citadel. Build your empire from a place of absolute, unshakable indifference. Command the wealth. Do not let the wealth command you. Take the gold. Leave the guilt. And let the world watch what a sovereign mind can build.